Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple.
David De Gea is not the man to move Manchester United forward. In seasons gone by, this would have been an absurd statement, bordering on sacrilege, but as the seasons progress, it becomes more and more evident that De Gea is having the same problem that other great players have faced in the past. Players have to evolve with the times or face the risk of extinction. In this video, we'll examine the De Gea problem at Manchester United. In a previous video, we touched on how the death of the number 10 role highlighted the difference between adaptable players who could stay with the times and rigid players who don't make it. Toni Kroos, Mesut Ozil, Kevin De Bruyne and Mata are all players who at one time were labelled world-class, but as the dedicated 10 role was phased out, Kroos and De Bruyne adapted by shifting deeper, whilst Ozil and Mata struggled to adjust, so never fully rediscovered their best form. Before that, defensive midfielders who were pure destroyers could play at the top level. But fast forward, and now defensive midfielders can either defend and then transition with the ball, like Conte or Declan Rice, or defend and then play incisive passes like a Rodri or Fabinho. Going back even further in time, defensive fullbacks could also thrive in elite teams, but now it's a prerequisite for any top-class fullback to offer something going forward, which is an element another United player in Wan-Bissaka has struggled with. And now the turn of the goalkeeper to evolve has well and truly arrived. When it comes to pure shot stopping, De Gea is still more than serviceable, and looking at the stats backs this up. Post-shot expected goals minus goals allowed is a simple calculation that sees, based on a shot quality that a keeper faces, how many extra goals do they save than an average goalkeeper. In all of the last 5 full seasons, De Gea has been positive in this stat, and last season he saved almost 7 more goals than expected, which is more than 90% of goalkeepers, whilst in 17-18 he was essentially Superman, saving almost 9 more goals than expected, which is more than 94% of keepers. Shot stopping is very much a traditional goalkeeper trait, and this is De Gea's strongest suit, but there are 3 key weaknesses. The first would be expected of a traditional goalkeeper, and that is coming off his line to claim and punch crosses. Over the years, De Gea has shown a tendency to remain glued to his line, anticipating a save even when high looping crosses come into the box. This puts pressure on his defense to drop deeper when defending crosses, as by not dominating in the air, De Gea is not making the box smaller by dominating and claiming more of the box like a traditional keeper. Last season, De Gea only stopped 3.3% of the crosses he faced, less than 94% of goalkeepers. Compare this to Neuer, who stopped 6.3%, Ederson 8.8%, and Alisson 10.1%. But what has come under the scope is his ability, or lack thereof, with the ball, and we'll look at how this limits him and United's tactics. His distribution is for the most part poor. When he goes short, he does have issues with accuracy, at times playing the ball straight out of play. But maybe even worse than this is when he makes poor decisions instead. There are instances where a man is clearly in a free position, either higher up where they can make a difference, or even just a simple pass to a centre-back who is better on the ball, and we see that De Gea simply does not have faith in the pass and goes long instead, increasing the probability of losing the ball. Perhaps even worse than this is when he forces a short pass to a man who is not free, instantly heaping pressure onto that player and increasing the probability of a mistake. And it's been well established that United players at the moment are not the most technical, so these high pressure situations do not play to their strengths. So at times there's an aversion to getting De Gea involved in the build-up play, so he attempts a lot fewer passes than other traditional keepers. But it's not just his short game that's lacking. When there are opportunities to find a man higher up the pitch with a longer ball and begin a quicker attack, De Gea again is not an accurate passer, often launching it straight out of play or leading to a possession turnover. His long pass completion of just 37% is worse than 60% of goalkeepers, and also pales in comparison to Neuer's 59%, Alisson's 54%, and Ederson's 60%. This has a knock-on effect on United's tactics. The advantage a possession side has when they have a ball-playing keeper is that they essentially always have an 11 versus 10 advantage, because their keeper can get involved in the build-up play, but the opposition keeper cannot get involved in the defending. So this means that defensive teams have to pick their moments when to press, and if they wanted to press higher up, the keeper would often be the free 11th man, and once the opposition decide to press them, the keeper, who is great on the ball, can find a pass to the now free man. But the problem with De Gea, who is so poor on the ball, means that he effectively does not count as a man in possession, as his passing is so poor. So teams are happy to leave him free, as when he does then look to pass, it will be to a man who is under pressure, or it will lead to United losing possession. Alternatively, teams can now press De Gea directly, as even if this does leave a man free higher up, they're confident De Gea cannot find him. Again, this will force De Gea into a poor decision. As discussed, De Gea's long distribution is also poor, so when City for example are pressed high up in the same way, by having Ederson as their goalkeeper, they have the option to play over the press with an accurate long ball over the top to a free winger running in behind. Opposition teams know this, so it discourages them from pressing high up, and as a result creates more space for them to play out short. With De Gea, they know he doesn't have this ability, so teams can be more comfortable pressing high as they like, knowing that nothing of quality is coming over the top. Again, this makes United's job even harder in possession. As a result, United have to lean on their centre-backs more with the ball at their feet, and this might be part of the reason Martinez is being played at centre-back rather than as the 6. With De Gea being so poor in possession, United need 2 ball-playing centre-backs, and we often see Martinez dropping deep to effectively begin the play. This can at times limit United's ability to play out, as this is one less outfielder in a position to receive, and this now makes United vulnerable aerially when Martinez is at centre-back. But United have another problem with De Gea out of possession. Possession teams tend to like to press high, and this means a high defensive line to compact the space, which leaves gaping holes in behind the defense. So with the 3 keepers previously mentioned, if opposition do look for a pass in behind, they have no problems being sweeper keepers and staying on their toes to get to the ball before the striker. This high starting position effectively shrinks the space available. But De Gea again is glued to his line, so that space behind the centre-backs is as big as possible. So either opposition sides can cut through them like a knife through butter, or the defense has to generally operate deeper, meaning the high press Ten Hag loves is less effective. Statistically, the average distance of De Gea's defensive actions is 13.6 yards, well inside his box. And he doesn't do much sweeping, with only 0.2 actions outside his box per 90. Ederson's average distance is 17.2 yards, on the edge of his box, with almost 1 action outside his box per 90. Alisson's average distance is 18.2 yards, just outside the box, with 1.75 actions being outside his box per 90, whilst Neuer is the furthest out, at 19.8 yards and 1.47 actions outside his box. De Gea will be remembered as one of the Premier League greats, and his shot stopping is some of the most impressive in recent years. But he has reached a crossroads that many great players have faced in the past. Football, like much of life, is survival of the fittest, and the time has come for De Gea to